The sugar daddy has awakened. He lied to me that he went bankrupt and asked me to leave him. Just as I was about to agree, I suddenly saw a few lines of bullet comments. The vicious female supporting role didn't expect this. Did she? The male lead has awakened and realized that she's a gold digger. He deliberately lied to her that he went bankrupt to cut his losses in time. Alas. Poor male lead. Even if he has awakened, once the female supporting role leaves, he'll still go after her sadly. Upstairs. If the male lead doesn't chase, how can the female lead appear to comfort him? Fine. So I'm the matchmaker between the male and female leads. Unfortunately, I don't have the generosity to help others achieve their happiness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. I secretly pinched my waist and forced out a tear. Then, in front of Kyle, I took off the Patek Philippe Fold diamond watch from my wrist and handed it to him. He subconsciously took it and asked me with a puzzled look on his face, "What does this mean?" I wiped the tear I had finally squeezed out and said, "What else could it mean? Of course. It's for you." Kyle's face darkened. "Jessica, what do you mean? What do you take me for? A gigolo? Damn. How could he think that? Is there such a rich and cunning gigolo like him?" I hugged his lean waist and took a few liberties by touching him. "Of course not. Kyle, this watch is for you to use as startup capital." Kyle forcefully broke free from me, held my shoulders with both hands, and asked me, "You're not leaving?" I blinked my big eyes and asked him, "Why would I leave?" He didn't say anything. I snorted, pounded his chest muscles with my hand, and said coquettishly, "Kyle, what do you take me for? If I leave just because you go bankrupt, am I even human?" Kyle has always been thin-skinned, and my few words left him speechless. After a while, he said, "The King's Corporation kicked me out of the company, and my own company went bankrupt. You'll have a hard life following me. Your grandmother is in the hospital and needs a lot of money every day. Without money, how will you pay for your grandmother's medical expenses in the future?" Oops. I almost forgot about that. When I agreed to be Kyle's mistress, I used the excuse that my grandmother needed a lot of money for hospitalization. In fact, I had already bought various insurances for my grandmother. Her hospitalization fees seemed expensive, but most of them could be reimbursed, and it didn't actually cost much. I pretended to lower my head and said sadly, "It doesn't matter. If worst comes to worst, I'll go out and work. Anyway, I only want you." After that, I put on a brave smile. "Kyle, you supported me before, and now I'll support you." Kyle seemed to be touched by me. He hugged me tightly and swore, "Jessica, it's so good to have you." I hugged him back and looked at the constantly jumping bullet comments. The female supporting role is just pretending. The next step is that she'll sell her jewelry, bags, etc., and run away. What's wrong with the male lead? Does he believe the vicious female supporting role so easily? Wake up, male lead. She's a proper gold digger. Don't you think the male lead's smile is a bit sinister? He clearly doesn't believe the female supporting role. Sister upstairs, don't be so conspiracy-minded. He's head over heels in love. Okay. The next day, Kyle went out early in the morning. I asked him what he was going out for, and he said he was going to find a way to raise money. I sent him off with fake sobs. After he left, I quickly got up and, as the bullet comments said, rummaged through all the luxury items Kyle had given me. I was rummaging happily when the bullet comments floated up again. See, the vicious female supporting role can't stand a bit of hardship. She's going to run away. The male lead, who's watching her through the surveillance, is almost crushing his phone. He's head over heels in love. There are cameras everywhere except in the bathroom. My hand rummaging through the jewelry froze. What? Cameras all over the house. Hee hee. Then I'll play along with their scheme. Kyle was very generous in spending money on me. In 3 years, I got a lot of benefits from him. It took me a full hour to finish packing. After packing, I took out my phone, took a photo of the piles of bags and jewelry in the living room, and sent it to Jacob. Jacob is Kyle's friend and owns several second-hand luxury stores. Jacob called quickly. As soon as I answered, he started scolding. Jessica, I knew you were a gold digger. Are you selling the gifts Kyle carefully selected for you? I said coquettishly. Come on, just tell me if you want them or not. The other side made a retching sound. Don't talk to me in this tone. I'm not Kyle. I'm not falling for this. Do you want them or not? If not, I'll sell them to someone else. Jacob shouted loudly. Yes, I want them. You wait for me. After that, he hung up the phone in a hurry. Jacob and his appraiser came quickly. The appraiser's eyes lit up when he saw the bags and jewelry all over the living room. The jewelry all came with professional appraisal certificates, so it wasn't difficult to verify. After the appraiser finished the appraisal, Jacob waved his hand and bought them all. He glanced at me disdainfully and asked, Does Kyle know that you're selling these things? I lowered my head and said sullenly, Don't tell Kyle about this. Jacob had an I knew it expression. You gold digger. Can I let people call me a gold digger when I'm doing a good deed? Of course not. So, I walked up to Jacob and whispered in his ear. First, do this. Then do that. Remember, never tell Kyle that I asked you to do this. Jacob's ears turned red. After my few words, the expression on his face changed several times, from contempt to shock, and then to a look of admiration. Jessica, you're not a gold digger. You're literally my god. After flattering me a few times, Jacob left with the appraiser. When they came empty-handed. When they left, each of them carried a suitcase. I looked at the empty living room and felt a little panicked. I looked up, and the bullet comments floated up. I said the vicious female supporting role would definitely sell the jewelry and run away. If the male lead's car hadn't broken down on the road, he would have come back and caught her red-handed. If the male lead's car didn't break down, how could the vicious female supporting role run? If she doesn't run, how could the male lead drive his subordinate's car to the airport to chase her? If he doesn't chase her, how could the male lead get into a car accident and be saved by the female lead? Exactly. This is a redemption story, waiting for the female lead to appear. I sneered. So, the female lead hasn't appeared yet. When Kyle found me, I was chatting with the security guard at the community gate. He pulled me away with a black face and then silently pulled me back to the villa. The moment the villa door closed, my heart trembled. What tricks are you up to again? Kyle loosened his tie with one hand. Ignoring my opposition, he tied my hands with the tie. He bent down, pinched my chin, and asked, Weren't you going to run away? Why didn't you? I said innocently, Why would I run? Kyle pulled my arm, forcefully took me to the room, and pointed at a bunch of empty cabinets I had opened and asked, Where are the things I gave you before? What happened to them? I lowered my head and said softly, I sold them all. Kyle's anger rose sharply. The prompt sound of, received $10 million, rang just as he was about to lose his temper. Then the phone rang. Kyle took it out, looked at the caller ID, hung up, and had just put it in his pocket when the phone rang again. Then Kyle answered it. I took a peek and saw that it was Jacob. The two of them chattered for a while, and then Kyle hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, he said to me with a guilty look on his face, "You've done so much for me. Why didn't you tell me?" Tears welled up in my eyes, and I just didn't say anything. Kyle untied my hands, hugged me, and said, "Jessica, don't cry. It breaks my heart when you cry. I won't doubt you anymore. I'm sorry." The bullet comments floated up with his words. "Ah, what are you doing? Male lead. If you don't drive now, you'll miss the female lead. LOL. The female lead has passed by 3 times, but she just didn't bump into the male lead. Damn. I feel like the female lead is the NPC. The female supporting role is going to change her strategy. Does she not know that she'll die if she doesn't go abroad?" I let out a surprised while enjoying the drama. What does that mean? I'll die if I don't go abroad. I wanted to continue reading the bullet comments, but Kyle covered my eyes with his big hand. "Jessica, don't get distracted at this time." "Okay." I struggled. "Dude, I'm not getting distracted. I'm trying to find a way to save my life. I'm not. Jessica, be good. Let's do something adults do. I won't doubt you anymore." "Jessica, actually, I didn't." I kissed Kyle back, not letting him tell the truth. If I knew the truth so early, how could I cause trouble in the future? How could I strive for the greatest benefits for myself? Do they think they can coax me with some nice words after playing tricks on me? Dream on, Mr. Kyle. You've raised my expectations, so you have to be responsible for the aftermath. I was so tired that I didn't wake up until it was dark. I turned on the bedroom light, rubbed my sore waist, looked around, and Kyle was nowhere to be seen. I didn't know where he had gone. Just when I was bored, the bullet comments floated in the air. "Ah, the female supporting roles post a fair face and the messy sheets. May I ask, is there anything that we, the noble members, can't see? What's the male lead doing?" "The male lead is making soup." "God. Today is the day the male lead and the female lead are supposed to meet. The female lead has been in the wind all day, but she just didn't meet the male lead. She's really unlucky. I feel like the female lead is the NPC. This female supporting role is not right. Could it be that the female supporting role has also awakened? Come on. She's a gold digger. What's there to wake up? Get it straight. There are reasons for her to be a gold digger. Didn't you hear what the male lead said about her grandmother? Hee. She's just a gold digger. The thing about her grandmother is also fake." The bullet comments started arguing, and it gave me a headache. Actually, they were right. I was with Kyle just for the money. Even our first encounter was planned by me. We met at a reception 3 years ago. Kyle attended the reception as a partner of the host, and I was a waitress at the reception. We shouldn't have had any meat originally. It was all thanks to a glass of red wine from a rich young lady that gave me the opportunity. Don't think too much. There was no drug in the red wine. Kyle wasn't drugged, and I wasn't his drug ingredient. As the most promising successor of the King's Group, the young and promising Kyle was a well-known eligible bachelor among the rich young ladies. As soon as he arrived, those young ladies rushed towards him. One of the ladies' high-heeled shoes got caught in her long skirt, and the red wine in her hand spilled all over Kyle's white suit. The situation was once at a deadlock. The deadlock was broken until I handed Kyle a white towel. Kyle casually pointed and asked me to take him to the dressing room. I put down the tray, straightened my back, and led the way. We didn't talk on the way. As soon as Kyle entered the dressing room, his assistant came with a new suit. I secretly clicked my tongue twice. Rich people are really particular. They even bring spare suits when they come to a reception. While they were in the dressing room, I happened to receive a debt collection call from the hospital. When Kyle and his assistant came out, they saw me squatting in the corner, crying softly. That day, Kyle's eyes stayed on me for 10 seconds. He didn't leave any contact information. A week later, I ran into Kyle at my internship company. The moment he saw me, he smiled. He said it was really fate to meet me again. I was blank for a moment and then said, "Oh, you're the gentleman in the suit from that night." Kyle smiled even more brightly. He handed me a personal business card and asked me to contact him if I had anything. Of course, I didn't contact him. When fishing, if the line isn't long enough, how can you catch a big fish? Another week later, Kyle's company ordered several $1,000s worth of desserts from the cake shop, where I worked part-time, and specifically asked for the store employees to deliver them. The store manager was so happy that he emptied all the desserts in the store and asked us to deliver them, giving each of us $50 for travel expenses. When we arrived at the King's Group, I put the desserts I was holding at the company reception, and I myself was taken to Kyle's office by his assistant. Kyle asked me to be his woman. I asked him why. He said he needed a woman by his side. I pretended to be reluctant and then agreed after a few times. $10 million a year. Kyle's thin lips parted slightly. Your grandmother can't leave the hospital. He hit the nail on the head and exposed the cruel truth. Only then did I reluctantly agree to be his mistress with a pale face. This arrangement lasted for 3 years. Over the 3 years, Kyle treated me better and better, especially in the past year. He often took me to various parties and receptions as his girlfriend. When Kyle's parents, who were far away, found out, they ordered him to break up with me. But every time Kyle refused. The two elders didn't miss the chance to come to me either. They stingily took out $1 million and asked me to leave Kyle. I took the money in front of them and then threw it back at Kyle. Kyle was touched by my spirit of not being lured by money and took the initiative to raise my pay to $20 million a year. He misunderstood me. It wasn't that I wasn't lured by money. It was just that they offered too little. His friends privately teased him for being lovesick, and the usually reserved Kyle blushed rarely. My heart skipped a beat. I thought, oh no, could this guy really have fallen in love with me? His series of actions made me feel guilty. Whenever I felt guilty, I would watch various cases of killing wives for insurance money or CEO dramas. Good. Then I would feel at ease again. Kyle and I are not from the same world. Sooner or later, we'll go our separate ways, and all I can do is make a fortune before we part ways. Unfortunately, before I planned to break up, Kyle woke up. Just because he's awakened doesn't mean he gets to embrace the beauty while I end up alone. He's dreaming. If I don't stir things up, it's not me. As for what the bullet comments said about me dying if I don't go abroad, I'll just wait. I'll wait for the right moment to pull off something big. Sooner or later, I'll leave. After all, money isn't as important as my life. After that day, Kyle didn't mention his bankruptcy or ask me to leave. He left early and returned late every day, sometimes not coming back at all. I was bored at home, so I started causing trouble again and put the villa up for sale on the second-hand housing market. The property rights of the villa were transferred to my name by Kyle a year ago. It's mine now. Less than an hour after I listed it, Jacob called. He laughed at me on the other end of the line. Jessica, you're really eager to run away, aren't you? And you even dare to sell Kyle's villa without permission. I retorted loudly. Cut the crap. I'm doing this to get startup capital for Kyle. Jacob was amused by my words. You're so stupid. Kyle didn't really go. Damn it. What does it mean? Why can't I say it? Kyle didn't really go. Damn it. Why can't I say it? Anyway, Kyle didn't go. Don't run away because of this thing. Jacob was shouting in frustration on the phone, unable to say the keywords. Take down the villa listing quickly. Don't let Kyle see it. I soon hung up on him, because my attention was completely drawn by the overwhelming bullet comments. LOL. The words, "Go bankrupt," are clearly blocked. The female lead and the male lead will meet today. Ah. When will the vicious female supporting role finally go abroad? I don't want to see the gold digger end up on top. The vicious female supporting role is so disgusting. Today, the male lead will save the female lead who is being bullied by her colleagues. Our female lead is beautiful and kind-hearted, and she's a proper rich girl. In a president-themed story, the characters should be well matched. The vicious female supporting role should scram. I was so angry that my veins popped. What kind of female lead is this? Why is she everywhere? Can't the redemption route work? Is she taking the old path of being weak and helpless? I stomped upstairs, put on a white dress that's the staple of a scheming girl, did a pure as a lily makeup look, and gracefully went out. As soon as I went out, I ran into Jacob, who had just gotten out of his sports car. Jacob exclaimed, "What are you doing dressed like a sickly person on the verge of death?" I gave him a dirty look and directly got into the passenger seat of his car. "Go to the King's Group." Jacob replied, "Hey, you're treating me like a driver. Am I? The great Jacob, a driver for hire?" I rubbed my eyes and said softly, "I'm going to catch someone cheating." Jacob's gossip radar went off, and he quickly jumped into the driver's seat. "Come on, tell me, who are you catching cheating?" "The King's Group." Jacob wasn't satisfied and wanted to know more details. I just wouldn't say, making him anxious. Jacob was so annoyed that he drove to the King's Group at the maximum speed allowed on the road, to get back at me for only half telling him. He made me endure the wind all the way. My freshly styled hair was blown into a mess. Of course, he didn't fare any better. His hair, which didn't have much hairspray, was blown into a mess like a chicken coop. I fixed my hair and walked into the King's Group in my high-heeled shoes. When we reached Kyle's exclusive elevator, I took out the elevator card he left at home, swiped it, and got on the elevator. Jacob followed closely behind me, chattering non-stop. "I don't believe Kyle would cheat. It must be an excuse you made. Ah, gold digger. Say something. Why aren't you talking?" I snorted. "A few days ago, he called me his goddess, and now he's calling me a gold digger." I just ignored him, driving him crazy with curiosity. When the elevator reached the top floor, I walked on my high heels to find Kyle. Jacob followed me stealthily, holding his phone. Before I entered Kyle's office, I heard a woman crying, "Mr. Kyle, I didn't mean to." The woman's sobbing voice came out intermittently. The office door wasn't closed. I ran over and saw the scene inside clearly. Kyle was looking down expressionlessly at the woman squatting on the ground. The woman was crying and apologizing. "Mr. Kyle, I really didn't mean it. Can you not?" I clapped my hands and exclaimed, "Mr. Kyle, you're so lucky. When did you get a new female secretary?" The two of them were attracted by my voice. Kyle looked at me with a hint of guilt. "Jessica, why are you here?" I sneered. "If I didn't come, how could I watch this good show?" Kyle rarely took the initiative to explain to me. "Don't misunderstand. I have nothing to do with her. Today, I wasn't." The bullet comments were jumping crazily. Why did the female supporting role come to the King's Group? How has the plot changed? The male lead is so humble in love. He's already awakened. But why is he still desperately explaining to the female supporting role? LOL. It's a reversal. Now the female supporting role is catching the female lead and the male lead in a compromising situation. Am I the only one who cares how the female lead got into the male lead's office? I coldly interrupted Kyle. Mr. Kyle, you don't need to say anything. I understand. If you want to get rid of me, you don't need to use the excuse of bankruptcy. I thought you really went bankrupt and sold all the gifts you gave me just to raise startup capital for you. But you've been playing me for a fool. There was shame, bewilderment, and more heartbreaking brokenness in Kyle's eyes. I turned my head away and forced myself to say, first of all, I have to congratulate Mr. Kyle on not really going bankrupt and getting the beauty. Finally, I've cashed out all the gifts you gave me for you. From now on, we'll never see each other again. We're done. After that, I took off my high-heeled shoes and threw them at Kyle's feet. And these shoes, the first pair of high heels you bought me, I'm returning them to you. Then, I ran out of the office barefoot without looking back. Actually, taking off my shoes wasn't part of my plan. It's just that running in high heels is likely to sprain my ankle. I had no choice but to take them off to run more easily. Kyle didn't chase after me. I ran out of the King's Group in one breath and squatted outside the company, gasping for air. As I was gasping, tears welled up in my eyes uncontrollably. I knew very well that Kyle and I had no future, but I still couldn't help feeling sad. After all, we had been together day and night for 3 years. Even if it were a dog, I'd develop feelings for it. I waited at the gate of the King's Group for 3 minutes. Instead of Kyle, I waited for Jacob, who came to watch the show. When he saw me, he forced a smile and said, "Hey, Jessica, are you going back? I'll give you a ride." I didn't even look at him. I looked around and hailed a taxi. Since I had chosen to break up with Kyle, there was no need for me to associate with his friends either. By the time the dumbfounded Jacob reacted, I had already gotten into the taxi. The taxi took me directly to the nursing home. The day after I could see the bullet comments, I contacted the hospital. With the doctor's consent, I transferred Grandma to the nursing home. Grandma's condition is stable. The nursing home has a much better environment, facilities, and service than the hospital. Although it costs more to live here, I feel at ease. Yesterday, I packed all my luggage and sent it to the nursing home. Now, I'm here to pick up my luggage and say goodbye to Grandma. Grandma isn't my biological grandmother, but she raised me from a child. Without her, there would be no me. All I've done is to let her enjoy her old age in peace. Grandma stroked my face with her pale and thin hand. Even though she hadn't worked for 3 years, there were still calluses on her palm. The rough calluses tickled my face. "Jessica, if you want to do something, just do it. I know my own body. I'm just useless and have been dragging you down." I covered her hand with mine and gave Grandma a sweet smile. "Grandma, I might not be able to visit you for a while. Take good care of yourself." Grandma replied, "MHM. You young people have a lot of things to do. Go ahead and be busy. I'm tired and want to sleep." Grandma started to send me away. I quietly dragged my luggage downstairs. All the way, I kept wiping my tears until I got into the taxi. As soon as I got into the taxi, I immediately perked up. I opened the bag where I kept my documents and looked at the 8-digit balance in the current deposit passbook I had opened with Grandma's ID. The more I looked, the happier I became. After going abroad, I immediately made an appointment at the hospital for a full body check-up. 3 days later, all the test results came out. I'm in perfect health. There's nothing wrong with me at all. Just as I was about to complain that the bullet comments were unreliable, the bullet comments started to criticize me. No. The female supporting role has gone abroad. Who will take the knife for our male lead? Are you blind? Didn't you see it was the female lead who took the knife? Wait. Yes. Wait. What is the male lead doing? Instead of staying with the female lead who took the knife for him, why is he going home to pack his luggage? Where is he going abroad? LOL. The female lead didn't need to take the knife. The male lead could have kicked that person down with one kick. She was just being nosy. Are you a fan of the female supporting role? Upstairs. Just like the female supporting role. You're a gold digger. Ha. I% #####. The bullet comments were arguing so much that it gave me a headache. I simply closed my eyes and stopped looking at them. I knew what had happened to Kyle in China these days even without the bullet comments. The day after I went abroad, Kyle personally visited my grandma. He got my whereabouts from grandma and saw me crying non-stop through the nursing home surveillance. Through the photos taken by the private detective, I saw a broken-hearted puppy. Poor Kyle was pursing his lips tightly and returned to the company alone. He didn't know that someone had been lying in wait outside the company, just waiting for him to fall into the trap. When the person's knife was about to stab Kyle, the female lead rushed out and took the knife for him. The stab was quite deep, and blood was everywhere. The photos sent to me by the private detective were full of blood. I couldn't help but sigh in my heart. Fortunately, she has the female-led halo. If that knife had stabbed me, I'd surely be dead. The bullet comment said that I was supposed to take that knife. Wait. So I didn't die of illness. I was stabbed and died of excessive blood loss. Damn it. They should have said so earlier. I wasted a lot of money going abroad for a full body check-up. Before I could finish feeling lucky, the hospital called. MS. Jessica. Congratulations. You're 5 weeks pregnant. Please come to the hospital for a re-examination when you have time. All the gloating expressions on my face disappeared completely. Serves me right. Jessica. Now I'm really a canary running away with a baby. I'm about to be forced to play the role I hate the most. No. I refuse. The bullet comments, which had been noisy just now, quieted down for a moment and then exploded. Wait. The female supporting role is pregnant. Is the male lead unfaithful? I can't stand it. I like my characters to be pure. You missed part of the plot. Upstairs. It was mentioned above that the male lead and the female supporting role had that kind of scene. Damn it. I really don't understand. Why does the female lead want to pursue an unfaithful male lead? Even though this man is handsome and incredibly rich. He's unfaithful. LOL. Are you kids? Do you really think the male lead spent a lot of money to keep the female supporting role for 3 years for nothing? I wonder if the female lead will use this to force the male lead to marry her. That would change the story. I was happily browsing in the baby care store when the baby pants I was picking up were taken away. I looked up. Coincidentally, it was Kyle. He looked haggard, with a stubbly beard, looking at the baby pants he took from my hand. It's mine. I snorted. Mr. Kyle, these are mine. Kyle chuckled. Jessica, humans haven't evolved to reproduce on their own yet. This is great. We're going to have a baby. You'll never leave me again. I spat at him. Mr. Kyle, you're joking. Clearly, you were the one who didn't want me. Kyle put the baby pants in the shopping cart, took the shopping cart with his left hand, and held my hand tightly with his right hand. I tried to struggle a few times but couldn't break free. Give me a chance to explain. I can't be condemned without a clear reason. Kyle whispered in my ear. I need to clear my name. He blew into my ear, making my earlobe turn red. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Kyle led me to the cashier to pay. He hailed a car on the side of the road and told the driver the address in English. I looked at him in surprise. Kyle scratched my nose affectionately and said, "How could I let you be alone abroad? I know everything about you." His words startled me. What did he mean? He knew everything about me. Did he also know about me hiring a private detective? Damn it. I wasted my money. As soon as we got out of the car, Jacob rushed over to take the things from Kyle's hands. Jacob exclaimed, "Jessica, what did you buy? Why are there baby bottles? How long have you been here? Have you gotten a puppy? What breed of dog is it? I've been waiting outside for so long, but I didn't hear any barking." With each word he said, Kyle's face got darker. Finally, Kyle couldn't hold back and kicked Jacob in the butt. Jacob rubbed his butt and said, "Kyle, why did you kick me?" Kyle said with a dark face, "My wife is pregnant." Jacob replied, "Oh, she's pregnant. Ah, she's pregnant." He jumped up and pointed at my flat belly. "How did she get pregnant?" As soon as he said this, Kyle couldn't help but kick him again. Jacob then said, "Why did she have to get pregnant at this time? How are you going to deal with the Wilson family when you go back to China? The Wilson family said that their daughter was injured while saving you and won't be able to have children in the future. You have to marry her." The speaker might not have meant anything, but the listener did. The bullet comments started floating up again. Ah, using her kindness to force him into marriage. I'm out. It's boring. It's the same old cliché. Wait a bit. There must be a twist. The male lead is only soft-hearted towards the female supporting role. He's tough on everyone else. Don't you think the female lead taking the knife was a bit sudden? And that part of the plot has deviated from the original story. What was the original plot? The original plot was that the male lead goes bankrupt. The female supporting role abandons him and goes abroad. The male lead chases after her, gets into a car accident, and is saved by the female lead. After he recovers, his company starts to improve. The male lead is touched by the female lead and gradually forgets about the female supporting role, falling in love with the female lead. Then, after the female supporting role runs out of money, she comes back to the country to find the male lead. As a result, outside the villa, the male lead's enemy comes to take revenge. The female supporting role accidentally saves the male lead, takes a knife for him, and dies from excessive blood loss. I was so angry at what the bullet comment said that my temples throbbed. I forcefully shook off Kyle's hand. Kyle, not understanding what was going on, put his arm around my shoulder to comfort me. "I won't. Jessica, I won't." Jacob clicked his tongue twice. "What are you two playing at? Talk about it inside." "Sister Jessica, open the door." Jacob's deliberate disruption eased the awkward atmosphere between Kyle and me a lot. I opened the door and let the two of them in. Jacob, who was behind Kyle, was unceremoniously shut outside by Kyle. After closing the door, Kyle squatted down, opened the suitcase, and handed me a pile of documents. The door was being pounded loudly by Jacob, and occasionally a few swear words came through. "Kyle, are you even human? I accompanied you all the way here to chase your wife, and you shut me out. Don't we care about him?" I pointed at the door and asked Kyle. Kyle shook his head. "He's just here to make trouble. Don't worry about him. These are the documents I've found recently. Take a look." I took the documents and sat on the sofa, flipping through them page by page. The information was very detailed. The female lead was adopted by the Wilson family a month ago. She was like a person who appeared out of thin air, with no past experiences. Since the Wilson family adopted the female lead, their business has been booming, and their stocks have been rising steadily. "She's very strange, right?" Kyle asked me, and I nodded. Kyle said, a bit reluctantly, "Actually, I didn't mean to lie to you about going bankrupt. I snorted. Kyle held my hand and said, "One day, I suddenly saw your ending. You died saving me, and I couldn't bear it." I let out an "ah" and said subconsciously, "That wasn't to save you. I probably slipped, right?" Kyle shook his head firmly. "I don't believe it. You must have come back to the country specifically to save me." "No. How do you know about future events? Do you believe me if I say I can see those bullet comments?" Kyle nodded. "I believe you because I can see them too." "Ah." I widened my eyes. Kyle smiled brightly. "I also know that you've saved a lot of private money with your grandma, and the card you left for me in the villa was an empty one. Heh. Are you trying to settle accounts with me?" Kyle pushed his luck, gently hugged me, and let out a muffled laugh. "Of course not. How would I dare to settle accounts with you? I said I went bankrupt to make you leave so that I could pay people to protect you. I was afraid that if I really went bankrupt one day, I wouldn't have the money to protect you." I pinched his waist and said, "Then when I gave you the watch and sold my bags and jewelry, why didn't you refuse or stop me?" Kyle said with full confidence, "It's a once-in-a-millennium opportunity for my wife to support me. Why would I stop you? Didn't you notice that there were people following you when you went out these days? They were all female bodyguards I hired. Even the neighbor next door, who you had meals with, was someone I hired to take care of you." That explained it. Ever since I came here, the old lady next door had been very enthusiastic about inviting me to dinner. Not only that, these days, she would come and knock on my door every mealtime to ask me to have dinner at her place. She wouldn't accept money, and she would decline for a long time before accepting the milk and fruits I bought for her. I thought she was just a kind-hearted person. Turns out she had already been paid. How could I bear to let you suffer? I don't know why the Wilson family's adopted daughter has her eyes on me, so I had to wait and see. But then, I suddenly received the news that you were pregnant. I was afraid you wouldn't keep the baby, so I rushed over here in a hurry." After saying that, Kyle hugged me even tighter. "Jessica, let's go back and get married." "Okay. Before we get married, I'll transfer all my assets under my name to you." I pushed him away and asked with a smile, "Aren't you afraid I'm a gold digger?" Kyle spread his hands. "Not afraid. After the assets are transferred to you, all the money will be yours. You can be as materialistic as you want. Worst case scenario, I can just earn more. I've been working so hard to make money just for you to spend. What's there to be afraid of?" The bullet comments floated up again at this moment. "Oh no. The male and female leads can communicate. Upstairs. Shouldn't you be more worried about why they can see the bullet comments?" So, did I really become a plot spoiler? Ah, I won't be killed by the female lead, will I? Don't worry. Upstairs, the female lead brought about her own downfall and lost her female lead halo, making wedding clothes for others. Suddenly, being materialistic doesn't seem so wrong. At least it's better than being malicious. Ah, I wish the heavens would send me a male lead like this. Kyle and I looked at each other and smiled. Everything was understood without words. We bought tickets for the nearest flight back to the country. On the way, Jacob was grumbling like a resentful woman. Kyle covered my ears with his hands, saying, "It's too dirty. It's not good for the baby's prenatal education." Jacob stamped his feet in anger. "Kyle, you're really heartless. You have a wife and a son now, and you've forgotten your old friend. I even spent a whole night teaching you how to win your wife back. Don't even think about buying back those bags and jewelry that Sister Jessica sold to me." Jacob's resentment only subsided a bit after we got on the first-class cabin. He was too sleepy and needed to catch up on sleep. After returning to the country, Kyle took the evidence he had collected to the Wilson family. The evidence was clear. Evelyn had hired someone to kill Kyle herself. The purpose was to play the hero of saving the beauty trick and then force Kyle to marry her by using her kindness. When the Wilson family saw the evidence, they didn't dare to insist on Kyle marrying Evelyn anymore. After Kyle dealt with the Wilson family, he asked someone to sort out all his assets. After finishing the sorting, he immediately found the company's legal department and transferred all his assets under his name to me. In just a few days, my assets increased from an 8-digit amount to an 11-digit one.
Kyle's parents completely changed their stingy attitude. Kyle's father gave me 1% of the shares of the Kings Group, and his mother gave me jewelry worth 9-digit dollars. I was very surprised. I wondered if the two elders had been possessed. Kyle's mother held my hand tightly, smiling kindly. Kyle finally married you home. Oh, his father and I can finally rest assured. This kind and amiable Mrs. King was nothing like the arrogant woman who had once given me $1 million to leave Kyle. It's okay. The bullet comments, which could answer my confusion, would tell me, LOL. The female supporting role really thought Kyle's parents hated her. Without her, they would have been worried to death. The two elders really went all out for their son's marriage. They deliberately gave her $1 million, fearing that the female supporting role would leave the male lead. Before the female supporting role appeared, they always thought their son, who seemed indifferent to relationships, was gay. Ha ha ha. It was just a beautiful misunderstanding. From now on, don't call her the female supporting role. She's my sister in my heart. My female lead sister. Yes. She's smart and clear-headed, and she has the male lead wrapped around her finger. If anyone else were the female lead, I'd be the first to disagree. After the wedding, I wanted to bring Grandma to live in the villa. Grandma refused, saying that she had a bunch of old friends in the nursing home and would feel lonely living in the villa. So, I could only do as before and often visit her in the nursing home. Soon, it was time for my due date. When I was about to enter the delivery room, Grandma was pushed to the outside of the delivery room by the nurse. She sat in a wheelchair and cheered me on. The bullet comments in the air were heartwarming. Such a heartwarming relationship between grandmother and granddaughter. This is what mutual redemption is. 20 years ago, Grandma saved the dying female lead. 20 years later, the female lead spends money and efforts to support Grandma in her old age. I declare that redemption stories should be written like this, not by deliberately creating conflicts for redemption. True feelings are invincible. The end. Extra chapter, Grandma. I found Jessica when I was picking up trash. The tiny hair was whimpering softly in the cold winter wind. I couldn't bear it. I took off my coat, wrapped her in it, and carefully carried her to the police station. The police officers at the police station received me warmly. They tried their best to find Jessica's parents. But how could they find them? If they were cruel enough to abandon a newborn baby next to the garbage dump, they wouldn't want to be found. I adopted Jessica. At that time, the adoption procedures weren't complicated. Jessica's name was given by a kind-hearted policewoman. It's a very nice name. Raising a child isn't easy, but Jessica was very sensible. I'm an old person with no ability to provide Jessica with a good life, but she never complained. Jessica's grades were very good. I, who couldn't read a single word, was very relieved. The child was perfect in every way, but she was too frugal with money. On her way home from school, she would pick up a few plastic bottles to exchange for money. She said with a smile that this was being materialistic. Silly child. This wasn't being materialistic. It was because I couldn't give her a better life that she was so sensitive to money. Just as Jessica graduated from university and was imagining a beautiful future life with me, I suddenly fell ill. Illness came like a landslide. I was bedridden for 3 years. She said she was smart and had already bought me a lot of insurance, so the medical treatment wouldn't cost much. I knew I was a burden to her. Many times, I thought that at my age, I was just a burden. Jessica seemed to understand what I was thinking. She cried and begged me to live, even threatening that if I didn't live, she wouldn't either. Silly child. I stopped thinking about dying and actively faced the illness. After Jessica said goodbye to me, I met the boyfriend she was dating and his parents. The young man was very polite. He brought his parents to see me and knelt down as soon as he saw me, saying that he wanted to marry Jessica. He secretly told me that he felt an instant connection with Jessica at first sight and fell in love with her at second sight. Giving money to Jessica was just to make her feel less burdened. He loved Jessica and would love everything about her. His parents were also very satisfied with Jessica. They got married. I lived a long life until Jessica's child went to college. At the moment I closed my eyes, I saw the tears and fine lines at the corners of Jessica's eyes. Jessica had grown up. She had children by her side and a husband who loved her. She was very happy. It was time for this old woman to leave. The end.